What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What is going on? What's happening? What the frick is up, Kyle? I putting this video out late, like I always do. But you know, this time I have a little bit of a reason, guys, which is that in my last video, the sound was really bad because sometimes when I use OBS, it's for some reason changes the sound device, and I don't know why. I don't quite know why that is the case. Also, we don't have music this time because for some reason the desktop audio is not recording, and I was trying to fix it, and I said, doesn't matter. Do you guys care about the subtle background music in the background? Probably not. So let's talk about UFC Fight Night 188. This is at the small cage. It is in Las Vegas at the Apex Arena. So I factored that in to my decision making. Some people think that it doesn't affect the fighters. I think that you're crazy. I don't have the stats offhand to prove what I'm saying, but yeah, here we are anyway. I think this is the third card in a row where I'm about to say this statement, but I'm not feeling extremely hot about my picks here, and I've said that 3 times in a row, but we're on like a 5 or 6 event win streak, so, you know, maybe I shouldn't be so hard on myself, but this just feels like a very hard card to bet for similar but slightly different reasons than what I said last time around. So anyway, let's just get into it. And remember that MMA betting is a long game. If this is your first time coming in here and you just trail my picks and we don't win, I apologize. You can go back and publicly listen to all my thoughts. I post them ahead of time. I don't get paid for this. I don't have ads on these videos. You know, so I'm just sort of doing this. I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing this for whatever reason, but I'm not getting paid for it. So, you know, don't hop in my DMs and start yelling at me and call me stupid because I said bet 1 unit on a guy and then you put $15,000 for some reason and then he got clipped. You know, I just don't want to hear it. Be responsible. Get help if you have a gambling addiction. First off, Damir Ismagulov versus Rafael Alves. And I always say this too, guys. I always say, oh, let's make this fast. But we're really going to make this fast because I don't have a lot to say about a lot of these fights. Damir Ismagulov versus Rafael Alves. Rafael Alves is coming off of the worst weight miss in UFC history, so bad that he missed the weight class above. So the UFC is making him go up a weight class now to fight Damir Ismagulov. The line is very bad. Ismagulov was like minus 550, minus 600. Very bad. You can't bet that. I'm very confident in, relatively quite confident in Damir Ismagulov to get this done. He's one of the better prospects in my eyes. The guy has a ton of victories. Let's check this out. 22-1. But what you're gonna notice off the paper, if you've never seen this guy fight, is that he's got a lot of decisions. His only finish in recent memory is a hand injury. You know, like he won via a hand injury. Otherwise, in his last 6 fights, he's got 5 decisions. So, you know, the guy, 22-1, very good, well-rounded, all around, you know, very good all-around fighter. Rafael Alves' opponent, you know, who knows his mental strength, given that he just had, you know, literally the worst weight miss ever. That's part of the mental game. It really is. The guy's a finisher, though, and you never would think to see a guy on a 5-fight win streak with 3 finishes who would be coming in at a minus or a plus 450 or whatever he is. I just think the UFC is really mad at him right now, and they're feeding him to Damir Ismagulov because, you know, like they just want this guy out of here. So I thought it was gonna be a little closer than this, like the line, and I was gonna max bet Damir Ismagulov in the minus 300s. I don't know why I thought that was gonna be the case. I thought that people would sort of feel that Rafael Alves is a decent fighter, and I love faded contender series fighters. So you know, it is what it is. Rafael Alves, he's going to try to explode. He's going to try to throw explosive spinning shit. He's going to throw big hooks. He's going to try to land on Damir Ismagulov. That's always a possibility, which is why you know, it's not profitable in the long term. Like, if you were to run this simulation, how many times would that line justify itself? Maybe, but it's not something that I want to take straight. So I'm definitely not laying a chalky 5-unit on him, even though I'm quite confident in Damir Ismagulov. So I suspect Damir Ismagulov will get the decision. One thing you could take is the over 2.5. I think the over 2.5 was something... I mean, look, he opened at minus 500 and just got it just got bigger, which shows like how confident that very rarely happens. Like, I mean, look, like fight goes to decision is minus 160, minus 150. So yeah, maybe Ismagulov for the first time in a long time gets a finish, but we're playing odds, we're playing statistics here. I suspect Ismagulov wins a decision, so play accordingly. I actually don't know if I have a Ismagulov bet here. I might put 1 unit on Ismagulov. I don't have it on the bets I'm going to show you at the end, but I might put a Damir Ismagulov or take the over 2.5. We'll see. I might put a unit on that, or if I'm feeling a little frisky later. But yeah, anyway, that's that. And not to be confused, we have another Damir, the battle of the two Damirs here. Yancy Medeiros versus Damir Hadzovic. Yancy Medeiros, been around for a while, came all the way from Strikeforce. The guy's been in a lot of wars. He's been in a lot of battles. He's an iffy fighter, and he's on a 3-fight losing skid where he got finished by Donald Cerrone, he got finished by Gregor Gillespie, and he lost a decision to Lando Venata. The guy is shop-worn. I suspect that this will be a stand-up fight. I would be surprised if it was anything otherwise. As far as Damir Hazovich, the quote-unquote Bosnian bomber, the guy is coming off of 2 losses. Christos Giagos is a decent fighter. He won last week with that really nice Darce. Renato Moicano, he got submitted. He submitted him in 40 seconds and then got up and was like yelling that he wanted him to not tap out because he wanted a full fight. And it's like, well, bro, if you wanted a full fight, why'd you go out there and submit him? But you know what? I don't know. Whatever. This is going to be a stand-up fight. I suspect Damir Hadzovic wins. I did take the fight doesn't go to decision at plus 100 or plus 105. I suspect that this is Damir's fight, so you could bet Damir, but I don't like, this feels like an almost 50-50 fight to me. So at the odds that it is, Damir Hadzovic, minus 130, I just would prefer to take the under. I think either guy could finish either guy, and I think this will be a stand-up fight for 3 rounds. It could always be a decision, but I just think both of these guys, it's like Damir Hadzovic, he got knocked out by Mirbek Taisumov, which, to be fair, Taisomov's a beast, right? Like, the guy hits very, very hard, but I don't know. I also thought this was interesting. He lost to Krzysztof Jotko, who, fights at 185. Now this guy is fighting Yancy Medeiros at 155. Just interesting when you go back. It's like when you look at Jorge Masvidal and he lost to and he fought what's his name? Oh no, guys, my brain. Why can't oh jeez. This is so stupid. Dude, why is my brain exploding right now? I have to say this and then we're moving on. Rafael Sunsao. Why the fuck? Rafael Sunsao, who's a bantamweight, It's always interesting to see people who are fighting other people on the circuits who are in completely different weight classes, but yeah, which one? Yancy Medeiros. Yeah, possibly either guy. I just bet the fight doesn't go to decision. I just see both guys being a little bit older in terms of their fighting careers, like in the damage that they've taken. I think Yancy will probably get finished by Damir Hadzovic. Joshua Culibao versus Elon Shah. There is almost no tape on Shah, so there's nothing for me to even say. Culibao, he's a decent fighter. I don't love the chalk. I don't love him at minus 250. He had a split draw to Charles Jourdain. And I think moderately highly of Charles Jourdain. I was a little bit high on him. Then I became less high on him. Now I'm more high on him than I was to begin with because of his last performance. But so this split draw is aging well in my eyes. It was a good fight. I actually, if I remember at the time, I actually thought Culibao might have won. But I might be misremembering this. So, yeah, Culibao is probably going to win, but there's not enough for me to know about Elon Shaw to know that, like to know the strengths and weaknesses to be able to bet Culibao at a minus 250. So I didn't bet on him straight. So I don't love that value. We can ignore that one too. And I'm sorry, I know you guys are used to me betting on like almost every single fight, but there's gonna be a lot of fights I pass here. I just don't like them. There's a lot of fights I just don't like. Bruno Silva, Victoria Rodriguez. Victor Rodriguez. Bruno Silva, I bet on him in his last fight. He fought against JP Buys. He TKO'd him. I think he maybe sort of turning a page here. He's fighting out of Pitbull Brothers, so he's training with Cejudo, Patricio Pitbull. Victor Rodriguez, the thing is, I just think he sucks. Sorry if you're listening to this, I just think you suck, bro. Bro, you can't say that. You're not a professional fighter. Yeah, well, come see me, Victor Rodriguez. We'll handle business. Bruno Silva is probably going to finish Victor Rodriguez. Victor Rodriguez coming from Alaska FC. You guys know how I feel about them. I don't think that they're that good. Victor Rodriguez, his fight in the UFC, he got absolutely murked by my boy Adrian Yanez, one of my favorite prospects. Shout outs to my boy Yanez. Minus 350. How do you bet on Bruno Silva though? And it's even harder to bet on Bruno Silva because I would love to put Bruno Silva by decision or by in the distance, because Victor Rodriguez, look, KO by head kick, submission rear naked choke, KO punch. All of his fights don't go to the distance, and he will go out there and gunsling with you. So I think Bruno Silva probably just clips him and finishes him, but it's 125. It's hard to bet that. You know, like statistically, it's a little bit hard to bet that. I do have Bruno Silva in a parlay we're going to talk about later. Silva is like, I was debating betting him as as my lock. I'm very confident that Bruno Silva gets this done, but am I confident enough to lay minus 350 chalk on a guy who is like just now turning the page? Like at minus, what, he was like minus 262 here. Like I might have taken that. Like I might have put like a 3.5 unit stab, honestly, around that point. Yeah, I don't know. I suspect Bruno Silva wins in the distance. Claudio Silva versus Court McGee. Claudio Silva, crazy life stories, this guy. But I just think that he's old, and I just don't think that he's all there. He looked really bad in his fight against James Krause. I mean, like, look at how inconsistent this guy is. Like, he beat... I mean, this is so, like, such a weird career. He fights on UFC Fight Night 37 in 2014. He gets a decision over Bradley Scott. He gets a split decision on, 20 cards later over Leon Edwards. Almost 100 cards later, he fights Nordine Taleb and gets a submission. Then, 17 cards later, he fights Danny Roberts and gets a submission. Then, he fights on the Covington Lawler card, gets a submission. Then he doesn't fight for another year. Loses to James Krause in a really sloppy, weird fight. And now he's fighting Court McGee, who is also on his way out. Both of these guys, old, not great. Court McGee, decisionator machine. So this fight's probably going the distance unless he gets submitted, I guess, or something by Claudio Silva. I just don't see it happening. I don't know. I think that there was probably value on Court McGee. Was he an underdog at some point? Yeah, if you got Court McGee at plus 130, even maybe plus 115-ish, like, you're rolling. I think you're good. I wouldn't bet this fight here. Not at even money. There's just... Yeah, I don't know. Just not interested. I don't really know what to tell you guys. I'm sorry. I know this video sucks. This is not a good one. You know, I have better videos. There's better cards. You know, this is not a card I'm super excited for. I don't know. My pick is Court McGee by decision. Ben Rothwell versus Chris Barnett. Ben Rothwell is probably my lock of the night. Shout outs to my boy MMA LTN. Like, this guy is not great, but I don't like betting on Ben Rothwell. He's a meme fighter. This is a meme heavyweight fight. I talk about this all the time. Heavyweight has pound for pound the most meme fighters, and this is a meme fight between two meme fighters. I love Chris Barnett on the regional circuit. You know, this big, like thick we'll put it that way. 5'9" heavyweight who does like spinning back kicks and kick flips, and he like brings a skateboard, does a kick flip. No, he what is it? Like gainers and stuff. I mean, he's just weird, right? But there's no way in my eyes that he wins this fight unless he just jumps around on the outside and lands leg kicks on Rothwell, and Rothwell can't touch him for 3 rounds, which I don't see happening. I did actually bet something in this fight. I didn't bet Ben Rothwell at minus 300 because it's heavyweight, and for me to bet on a worse than minus 300 heavyweight would basically be suicide. Like, how can you do that? I actually bet Ben Rothwell by submission at plus 700. I put a quarter of a unit stab on that because I could see Barnett taking this fight on short notice, getting tired. He's got tricky submissions, Ben Rothwell. You don't see it that often, but, look, against Josh Barnett, he got a guillotine. Against Matt Mitrione, he got a guillotine. He got guillotined by Gabriel Gonzaga. He's got him. He's got him in the back pocket. Now, maybe he just TKOs him. Maybe he just knocks him out. Maybe this is a weird, sweaty decision. But that's why I only put a quarter of a unit. I'm fully prepared to lose it, but at plus 700, I figured it's worth the stab for the old Ben Rothwell guillotine. Ricardo Ramos versus Bill Algeo. I put a unit on Ricardo Ramos. I think that this is probably one of the better fights of the night. Ricardo Ramos is a somewhat flashy, somewhat unorthodox striker, long. He should be able to get Bill Algeo down probably. Bill Algeo has moved as the favorite now because people remembered that Bill Algeo is going to bang with this guy. That's what he did against Ricardo Ramos. That's what he did with Spike Carlisle. He's going to put the pressure on Ricardo Ramos, which is actually not a good thing. But I did say, right, I bet on Ricardo Ramos. Now, the reason I bet on Ricardo Ramos is because I think this is a close fight, and I think Bill is a little bit sloppy. And because I think he will be able to be taken down, I have to favor this, if it goes to the decision, Ricardo Ramos to sneak out 2 rounds. Now, I think if the fight gets finished, outside of a submission for Ricardo Ramos on the ground, which, may or may not happen, I think it's probably because Bill Algeo just forces him to crumble under pressure, just walks forward, lands a bunch of shots. Maybe he KOs him stiff. Maybe he just TKOs him and Ramos wilts because Bill is going to stay in your face. He's going to make this a dirty fight. But as long as Ricardo Ramos isn't out there throwing that stupid kick that he does, that I don't know how to explain it. It's like he throws it. I mean, he'll probably do it in this fight and then get clipped and knocked out, and I'm gonna tweet about it. Go back and watch Ricardo Ramos' fights. He throws this weird behind the back kick. I don't know. But it's stupid, and I hope he doesn't do that and gets clipped. But anyway, 1 unit Ricardo Ramos. Jack Hermansson versus Edmen Shahbazyan. One of the other interesting fights on this, Hermansson, Jack the Joker, a clear game plan to win this fight. But there's a factor that's at play here that gives him a big chance to lose as well. So Jack has a decent jab, and Edmen Shahbazyan never moves his head. He has no head movement! Head movement! And we have seen now that Edmen is susceptible to getting taken down, and he's susceptible to ground and pound, especially in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. Hermansson does not have great wrestling, but his jiu-jitsu is good, and his ground and pound is one of the best. As far as his aspects of his game, that's one of the best aspects. But like I mentioned, with Edmen Shahbazyan not moving his head, neither does Jack Hermansson. And Jack also has there's a likelihood that Jack will wilt under the pressure after he takes a couple shots, sort of like he did to Jared Cannonier. So I think Edmen Shahbazyan, very fast hands, good accurate strikes, hits very hard. I could see him crumpling Jack and putting him out of there in under 2 rounds. However, similar to the Charles Oliveira-Michael Chandler fight, when I said that both guys play into each other's weaknesses, I am leaning Jack Hermansson here for somewhat similar reasons, which is that I see more ways to win for Jack Hermansson in a fight that I cap as moderately close. And so in these types of fights, I have to give the experience to the veteran, even though I think that he could crumple. This is what we talked about in the Oliveira fight, and to everybody's to everybody's surprise, including me a little bit, although I thought it was a little overplayed. Even when he was in trouble, the Charles Oliveira, he was able to not fall for it. I mean, I think I mentioned that in my video. Like, it's a title fight. I don't think it's going to happen. This is not a title fight, but Jack Hermansson does need a win over Edmund Shabazian. He's in a very, like, weird spot because he gets finished by Jared Cannonier in a not good showing. He submits Kelvin Gastelum in the first round, which was very strange. I bet on him in that fight, but I didn't think that was going to happen. And then he loses a decision to Marvin Vettori, which was actually quite a banger. So I don't know. I just think Jack Hermansson's going to be able to find the jab. It's going to give Edmund Shabazian some problems. As long as Jack doesn't get crumpled in the first 1.5, I think he probably wins round 2. He probably wins round 3. And I could see him finding ground and pound or a submission if and when it goes to the ground. So I'm betting Jack Hermansson. I bet 1 unit on him, I believe. David Dvorak versus Halian Paiva. Not much to say on this fight. I think David Dvorak is a pretty good fighter. I suspect he cracks that, like, even top 3, top 4 rankings at some point at 125. I honestly believe his ceiling is very high, but if I was going to bet on this fight, I would probably take Paiva. I think Paiva will be better at range, and that's ultimately what this comes down to. I see this going to decision. I see Paiva landing the better shots at range, and I just think that David Dvorak can, objectively, he's only got 2 wins in the UFC, and they're both against Bruno. So this is Bruno Silva before he started to. Yeah, I mean, this is not the Bruno Silva that I'm betting on. It's not the same situation. Like, David Dvorak is a better fighter than Bruno Silva, and I don't think highly of Jordan Espinosa. So those wins are, like, fine. They're okay, but they're not amazing wins. I think he can get much better, but he only has 2 fights in the UFC. Now, Paiva, of course, has 4 fights in the UFC. He lost a weird split decision to Kai Kara France. He was cut in the Bontarine fight, and I wanted to fade it, or I think I did fade him in the Kai Kara France fight, but I didn't feel very good about it. And that's because he's, Dana White Contender Series guy. He knocked out Mark De La Rosa, which was very easy money. And he went to a decision, decent fight against Ismagulov. I think Paiva, younger but more experienced, at least in the UFC, gets it done at range by decision. Now, he's an underdog, so you might be wondering why I didn't bet him. Well, that's because I think Dvorak has some clear paths to victory, and also because if you look at the mean odds for Paiva, I would have taken at +1. I mean, I know it's stupid. It's like, like a stock. It's like you see a stock and you're like, oh, the stock is up 2x already. I don't want to buy it now, and then it goes up another 10x. Then you're an idiot. It's a similar thought process here. But I'm like looking at this and I'm like, I wish I took Paiva at +130. If I would have, 100% I would have put a unit on Paiva at +130. But at +120, I think that this line is like fairly capped, if that makes sense. And so I just don't find there being an edge on Paiva. So I just don't want to bet it. I think that I feel that there's no edge in those lines. Felicia Spencer, Norma Dumont. The one thing that you have to look out for is Norma Dumont's, how she looks, how she looks from, look, all I'm going to say is I hope she twerks on stage. You know what I mean, guys? Look, I'm a simple man. There's new Venom gear. I'm just curious how it looks. But I think Felicia Spencer wins this fight. I'm not betting on it. She's not my lock of the night, but I think that she's very, very hard to put away. I suspect she'll probably be able to get Norma Dumont down, maybe even submit her, but yeah, I don't know. What do you guys want me to say on this fight? Like, what do you want me to say? I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Felicia Spencer is probably the pick, but I'm not betting on it. Jared Vanderaa versus, or Vanderaa. I don't actually know how you pronounce it. I'm just going to say Vanderaa versus Justin Tafa. Justin Tafa, only 4-2, but has had some fun fights. Like, he finished Juan Adams. That was awesome. He got slept by Jorgen De Castro in one of my favorite heavyweight knockouts. And then he lost a split decision to Carlos Felipe that I thought he won. And I was pretty butthurt about that one. This was a great fight. Carlos Felipe versus Justin Tafa. It was very fun. Both guys just in a phone booth trading. Vanderaa, not a very good fighter. I can't believe that he got finished by Sergey Spivak. I mean, what the heck, guys? But I did bet on Jared Vanderaa here. He's like plus 150, plus 160. And basically my thesis is that he seems like he's a hard guy to finish on the feet. He's like this big, huge, marauding, gorilla man. And he doesn't, he's not particularly very good, but I do think that he might be able to wrestle Justin Tafa, and that's kind of what I'm banking on here. He's going to be much bigger, much taller than Justin Tafa, and I think if he gets on top of Justin Tafa, Tafa's going to have a hard time getting up, and I haven't seen anything in Justin Tafa's career to think that he's, significantly prepared for a takedown-based game of Jared Vanderaa. Now, of course, you can make the argument Vanderaa, had terrible grappling against Sergey Spivak, and you don't think very highly of Sergey Spivak, to which I would go, you got me there. But I do think that Jared Vanderaa has a win condition, and at plus 150, plus 160, as long as he can not get destroyed on the feet, as long as he can not get chinned on the feet by Justin Tafa, which is a big if, I do like him at those odds. So I took a 1-unit stab on Jared Vanderaa. I think that there's value there. And don't hold your breath about this fight. It could get sloppy and boring, but okay. Xianon versus Carla Esparza. Everybody I know is taking Carla Esparza, and everything that they say makes perfect sense. Xianon, she's long. She's gonna stick and move at range. She's gonna throw a lot of teep kicks. She's gonna lead side kicks. She's gonna throw long straight shots. Weird. She'll throw once in a while a weird spinning kick. I understand what you're saying. I agree with you. Every single thing that you just said is 100% correct about Xianon. And then they're going to tell you that Carla Esparza is a veteran. She's one of the best grapplers in the division. She, is getting her stand-up is improving. They're going to say all these things. And they're going to say, that's why I bet on the Cookie Monster Carla Esparza. But besides the fact that she has one of the worst nicknames in the UFC, I just hate it. I don't know why. I've taken Xianon. And hear me out. Xianon, if she loses, it's going to be a stupid... I'm going to look like an idiot. So I'm ready for the egg on my face, where she just gets taken down in the first 2 minutes of the fight and held down, and then it happens again in the second round, and it happens again in the third round, and Carla Esparza wins a decision by laying on top of Xianon. I get it. I know. But Xianon is going to be bigger, stronger, and I think will have decent enough movement, even though it's in the smaller cage, to be able to possibly stop the takedowns of Carla Esparza. Now, if we look at the Claudia Gadelha fight, which she won, Claudia Gadelha was able to get her down, right? She had grappling success. But at the end of the day, Claudia Gadelha and Carla Esparza I don't want to... Look, what I'm about to say, you guys are going to get mad at me. I don't know what it is with the Carla Esparza love, but I just think Claudia Gadelha has better takedowns in a way against a fighter like Xianon, because she's bigger, stronger, explosive. Of course, she gasses. Carla Esparza, I don't think is going to have as much takedown success, even though she's a epic wrestler, guys. And the thing is, how am I supposed to have confidence betting on Carla Esparza? Craig, but the stats don't tell the story. When she has a majority decision, a split decision, and a split decision. And I thought she lost the Marina Rodriguez fight. Now, I was watching it on a boat. I was coming back from an island, and I was watching it on my phone on a boat as the boat was coming to a stop. So, and I had a bet on Marina Rodriguez, so I was, a little biased, but I thought she lost that fight. So, I don't know, guys. I just think Carla Esparza is either going to clearly just take her down and hold her down, and I'm going to be an idiot, or Xianon is going to be big, strong, faster, hit harder, and do more damage, and I have to take the fact that the judges outweigh the strikes, and so I'm taking Xianon. Stay mad, so sad, and cry more. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's the bet game, boys. I don't care. Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt, the best fight on the card. It's the headliner for a reason. I love both of these guys. Two of my favorite fighters. And I have taken 2 units on Rob Font. And hear me out. Cody Garbrandt has has the single in my eyes, maybe you can think of a better one. In my eyes, Cody Garbrandt over Dominic Cruz was the single best performance of any UFC fighter ever. I think it's the best performance when you look at the context, when you look at what he did. It's just incredible. And we're going to get the video finished in the next minute. Cody Garbrandt, 29. His only losses are when he fights like an idiot and he just sticks his chin out and he plants his feet and he throws hooks, short inside hooks, and he gets clipped with the same shot over and over again. He maybe has come around in the Rafael Sun South fight. He's training with not just Team Alpha Male anymore, but he's training with not Duke Rufus, but it's late. Frankie Edgar's coach. Who is this, guys? Frankie Edgar coach. Mark Henry. Jeez. He's training with Mark Henry now for aspects of his camp, and I think that will probably calm Cody down. Cody will have the speed advantage. Both guys have incredible boxing. I don't know who gets the better of it. And the one unknown factor is that Rob Font can get taken down. And if Mark Mark and the Team Alpha Male can convince Cody Garbrandt to strap on his wrestling singlet, he's a wrestler out of Ohio, I believe, maybe he can get Rob Font down, but that's just not Cody Garbrandt's game. So I'm expecting this to be a gunsling fight, and I think Rob Font's jab is going to find a place. So if that happens, I suspect Cody Garbrandt to get upset, to start trying to trade with Rob Font, and I could see Rob Font landing on him. But this fight could honestly go either way, and it's not like Rob Font isn't hittable. Cody's going to have a speed advantage. Cody is probably going to land. Cody has power. I think Rob Font will be able to roll with the shots enough and see most of the shots coming where it's unlikely, in my eyes, that he gets knocked out. But I do think that the fight probably ends in under 3 rounds, and because I feel that way, I have to think that it's Rob Font, and I just think that it's Rob Font's time. I really hope that... I really wish they didn't put this fight together because I really, really like both guys. And honestly, if Cody Garbrandt comes out and looks good, like if he looks better than he did in the Rafael Sun South fight, you guys are I'm not gonna fade Cody Garbrandt again. I'm just not gonna do it. I think that we will officially be past this like Cody Garbrandt is a dumb idiot stage, and he will finally be on this new path if he wins this fight. This is the fight that determines to me whether or not Cody Garbrandt becomes the champion. I genuinely believe that. You guys can all get mad at me, but I'm fading the chance. I'm fading the hopes. And I'm picking Rob Font to finish Cody Garbrandt in the second round. And that's it. Love you guys. Good night.